But today, you know, it's the modern terms will be those European nations. And out of these European organizations, you had other things like the Club of Rome that came out of there in 1948. You know what I'm saying? What's the other one? The Roma Treaty, something like that. What else? What else? Yeah, so these organizations are deriving from this beast right here that's going into.
And John actually saw a beast. He actually saw a beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns. And now those 7 heads, it's about 30 of them now. Like I said, they called the European Union, okay, or the EU. But the 7 heads, you know, it's very special. That's why when we go into the mark, you got the beast. We're about to give you the beast now. This is what people going to start touching on, the mark of the beast. So we're giving you the beast. The beast is the beast. And the beast is the system. Okay?
And the 7 heads are the Greeks, the Romans,
Right.
the French, the Spanish, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and Britain.
Right.
All right. So this is the beautiful thing about our book.
Yeah.
And we said this last week. 4-4. The beauty about this book, our holy book, is that it's in sync with secular history.
Yeah.
So when you read about world history, you know you're gonna find out world history is in this book. All right. Because this is a book of prophecy, man.
Yeah.
And these people here, the Israelites, have been going from captivity to captivity.
Yeah.
And we've been under these nations that we're speaking about, especially now, the Edomites, the so-called white man today, the top elites, the Oppenheimers and the Gettys and the Rothschilds, which the Rothschilds come from the Oppenheimers. When you go into the history, they derive from the Oppenheimers. They gave them their power when you really go into it.
You know, and what's special about this is when this was given to John, this prophecy, it was in the 1st century AD. So Rome and ancient Rome was still in power. It was around 90 AD when this prophecy was given. So Rome is one of those heads. But the beauty about this is that this prophecy was reflecting a second Rome, and that's America today. And we're gonna prove it.
All right, so you can see here.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
These are NATO countries right here, as you can see.
Good look.
All right, NATO countries. You come up here, brother. You can watch.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
take a look. These are all NATO countries, and now, like the brother was saying, I know. Now you got about.
It was Britain. Britain left. It was called Brexit. They exited in 2020, but Britain is still part of NATO. NATO is the muscle to the EU.
Yup.
So NATO is a muscle that America belongs to NATO, but America doesn't belong to the European Union. Canada belongs to NATO, but Canada doesn't belong to the European Union.
And it shows you right here. Look, the block. See the block?
Okay, yep, beautiful.
Canada and the U.S.
Beautiful.
It shows you right there on the corner. You can see Canada and U.S. You see it in that square box.
Yeah.
They're separated from the rest of those countries.
Yeah.
They're not part of the European Union.
Yeah.
This is why.
See as well. And might I add, all these are Edomites.
Oh yeah, these are Edomite countries.
There's no Japan in there. There's no China in there. There's no what you call today Africans who are known as Hamites. None of them are in here. That's the BRICS.
And let me just name a few. So you can back up the brother. So you got Italy, France, Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, Denmark, UK, Iceland, Norway, Latvia, Portugal, Spain, Greece, Turkey. The list goes on.
All Edomites. And when they first came out, they was called the European Economic Community, the ECC. And when they came out, they put a flag down. And on that flag, the original flag had 12 stars. The 12 stars were actually 10 stars, because 2 of them stars.
Hey, bro, come up a little bit.
Yeah.
You can come. You could get you over there separated from everybody else.
2 of those stars were the same country. So they try to throw prophecy off because they noticed they had set up the 10 heads. Somebody must have alerted them, one of their warlocks, say you just fulfill prophecy by setting this up this way. So they know that they're the beast system, man. You know, so Esau knows this. Okay? So once again, Romans 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw, this is John. John literally standing I forget, I think it's the Mediterranean. You correct me, if I'm wrong. If the Mediterranean was the sea he was looking at over there in the east. It says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The Mediterranean. Okay, done. And upon his horns 10 crowns. So these horns represent rulership. Okay? Because each of those them 7 heads and 10 horns, which is the EU and NATO now, they all have rulership in their respective area. But some of them are stronger than others. Right now they all look weak. But Germany was always that guy, the team, they call it team-in in the scripture. World War I was started behind Germany. World War II was started behind Germany. So Germany always been like the more intelligent, some of the highest class scientists come out of there. Also, one of the more well-oiled machines of the group. You know, this whole thing with Hitler, and a lot of people don't know, in World War I, Hitler was the man. They even had Hitler on a Time magazine. You can look it up. They was praising Hitler at one time, man. But when Germany tried to go against the elites, and they tried to set up their own form of currency, then the Lord had it kick off World War I, which is prophesied in the scriptures. And the same thing happened with Germany getting out of pocket with the elites, therefore kicked off World War II. Okay?
I want to back you up real quick, show you that those horns that the brother's going into power nations too. Psalm 75. Psalm 75. I'm gonna start at verse 3. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. Verse 4. I say unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up your horn. And who's the wicked? Based on Malachi, the wicked would be Esau. All right? So the Lord, this is David speaking in the spirit, prophesizing against this devil. So what the Lord says here, I said unto the fools, remember Job said they were fools. Remember? Job chapter 30. They were fools. They were violent in the earth, something like that. Job chapter 30. I'm telling you, that's why they're going to need correction, these heathens in the new kingdom. They have no common sense. But I bet you she has a doctorate degree or something, but no common sense. You know? I tell you, verse 4. I said on, like, come on, man. Like, common sense, man.
The swiftness of a leopard is in Micah because it was a known thing to go against the Persians and Medes at that time was a feat that just couldn't be done.
Yeah, because what it ultimately represents is the Greeks, Edomites. That leopard represents Alexander the Great, but also into the Greek nations. And coincidentally, guess what? One of the countries that's part of NATO is Greece.
Yeah. That's one of them heads. So this is the beginning stages. You got that in Maccabees? Yeah. Beginning stages of Esau. Now, the Edomites are not the original Greeks. When you go into the history, those are the children of Japheth. Japheth ultimately had that land. After the flood,